Hey nobody, Tom here. Now, this video is unique and calls for a different kind of introduction. This, as you may recognize, is a contemporary hotel located just outside the Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World Resort in Florida. Now, there are a lot of YouTubers who have shared interesting trivia about the construction of this hotel, namely the fact that all of the hotel rooms were built off-site, trucked in, fully completed with furniture and everything, slid into place, connected up to power and water, and that is completely true. All of these rooms are built off-site. The untrue part that keeps getting shared that drives me nuts is that the rooms were designed to be replaced instead of remodeled.
First made, the original plan was to be able to pop out the rooms, update them as the years went by.
And the idea was that they'd be able to slide out old rooms, redesign them, and slide back in new ones whenever they felt like it, keeping it contemporary.
How the rooms were supposed to be modular, to be able to be inserted, taken in and out for updates, but that never happened.
This is not true. This never was true. This was never part of the plan. When these rooms were installed, they weren't just slid into place like drawers. They actually got put in and dropped onto pins that hold them in place. They hooked up plumbing, they hooked up wiring, and then the one on top of it was slid in and dropped as well. In order to remove this bottom room, you have to remove all of the rooms above it. There's also another little issue that arose shortly after they opened this place. There was noise from the empty space in between the two sets of completed rooms. There was air gaps in between them, and so there was noise. At some point, they also started noticing that there was mold. So this gap was filled in with expanding spray foam at one point. So these rooms are pretty much locked in together. But it was never really the intention for them to be replaced, to be slid out and swapped out. That would be the same as, instead of replacing the cabinets in your kitchen, just knock the whole house down and start over. The point was part of Walt's original plan for Epcot. He wanted a city of the future where they could try out new building materials and methods. And back in the 60s, modular homes didn't really exist. Now, they had trailers, and the closest to a modular home you could get back in the 60s and early 70s was a single wide trailer, or a double wide trailer, which is two trailers designed to be put together. They're still built the same way they build RVs and trailers, with like 1x1 and 2x2 frame instead of 2x4s, minimal insulation, and like corrugated aluminum siding. It's just a trailer. It's not like a house. Nowadays we have modular houses where a complete, proper 2x4 frame house is built in a factory in sections and then trucked to its final site and installed together. You've got like a proper house that just came apart in sections for shipping. And that's pretty much what they were trying to do with these rooms. The whole point was to show off and try out futuristic building methods like modular construction. And it did save some time and money if they were able to keep the factory going, but that is kind of the problem. Once they finished building this hotel and the other hotels that used that factory, they didn't have a use for the factory anymore, and so they had to close it. Now, the rooms in the main tower of the Contemporary weren't the only rooms made off-site in this factory. The garden wing rooms were also made in that factory, though one of the garden wings has since been torn down and replaced with the Bay Lake Tower. But the other rooms made in that factory were here at the Polynesian. They just stacked them one on top of the other, and then built the sections of these buildings that connect those rooms where the hallways and walkways are. There's also another non-Disney property hotel owned by U.S. Steel, the company that Disney was working with to build the Contemporary and the Polynesian, called the Court of Flags Hotel. But it was constructed in the same way, with the rooms being built off-site and stacked in place with all of the hallways and other connecting parts built after the rooms got stacked in place. And there might have been another one, I'm not sure, but those were the ones that I could find. But that was the whole point of these rooms being built off-site. It was to save time and money. You see, on a normal construction project, when they build this first floor here, they first build the frame, and they start building this floor, and then everybody that's working on the framing for this floor has to move up to the next floor, and then everybody above, when they finish there, they got to move up to the next floor, and then coming in behind them is the people that do like the wiring and plumbing, and then they move up to the next floor, and then the people come in and do the drywall, and then the people come in and do the flooring and the carpeting and the painting, and all that happens. Everybody has to finish the floor that they're working on and then move up to the next floor, and you've just got to keep carrying things up and down stairs, lifting all sorts of materials up and up and up. Instead, you could have a factory where all the drywall, the plumbing, the 2x4s, they're all at ground level. Everybody comes there Monday through Friday and works. They don't have to go to a new job site when the project is over. And then you start to get the benefits of utilizing a factory to regularly build things instead of having to bring all the materials to a new job site every time you start a new project. However, I don't think that it's all that cheap to do that, especially when you consider the fact that once you finish building a building, even at Disney World, it's not that likely that they're going to build another building. Like, there's a bunch of hotels that have been built, but they aren't constantly building hotels. They're constantly building something here. They've got several construction crews that rotate around the property, working on various projects, upgrades, expansions, renovations, redoing concrete, repainting things, but they aren't always building hotels. They aren't always building buildings. But when somebody at some point theorized that those rooms could just be slid out and swapped out, and decided to say that to somebody, a bunch of other people started repeating that every time they talked about how the rooms were built off-site. And every time I hear that fake fact being shared, it drives me nuts. I scream at the TV, the cell phone, the laptop, whatever I'm watching YouTube on, and I'm like, no, that is not true. They were never intended to be removed. It was just about building a hotel with modular construction to save on cost, to save on time, and to try out new things. And those new things are being utilized all around the world. Modular housing has become a very popular thing for people to do. There are lots of people who buy modular houses that look just like normal houses. The downside is because of the stigma attached to them, they tend to be worth less than a house that was built on site, so it might still not be a financially good decision to buy a modular house, especially if you plan on selling it at some point. But the fact that they were trying out new building methods and materials just shows how much early phase one of Walt Disney World was trying its best to live up to Walt's idea for a city of the future and his original plans for the Florida project and Epcot. Now, another piece of trivia that people point out is this five-legged goat on the mural created by Mary Blair. That is true. It is an intentional mistake. This is the Grand Canyon Concourse, and I believe she was keeping with a Navajo tradition that people cannot make perfect things, so all artwork made by people had to have intentional mistakes added to it. So she included the intentional mistake of having one of the goats on this mural have 5 legs instead of 4. And that is an actual intentional mistake, and that's an interesting little piece of trivia. Now, there is another rumor about the rooms at the Polynesian, namely which room John Lennon stayed in. You see, in the 70s, the Beatles had essentially broken up, but the business entity that was the Beatles still existed. And they were trying to track down John Lennon to get him to come and sign the paperwork. He was supposed to show up to an office in New York and didn't show up. They called him and he said the stars weren't right. It just didn't feel right, so he didn't go. A couple weeks later, they were able to track him down. He was on vacation with his son and his girlfriend here at the Polynesian, and there's a rumor that it was this room here in the corner, which has very obviously been covered up by landscaping, because Disney was probably really tired of people complaining about other people randomly trying to film it. However, there are other rumors saying that it was actually one of the rooms facing the Magic Kingdom. But I can't understand why people would think that he would have been in a room like that one. It's not just close to the pool, which would have been nice, but it's also close to the main building, so they could keep an eye on anybody trying to bother the famous rock star. However, it was much more likely that it was one of the rooms actually on the waterfront side facing the Magic Kingdom, because there's a very famous description of John signing the paperwork that officially ended the business organization known as the Beatles. A story told by his girlfriend at the time, May Pang, of how he held the pen in his hand while sitting on the porch. He looked out over the water of the Seven Seas Lagoon, looked at the Magic Kingdom, Cinderella Castle towering in the distance, and then looked back down and signed it. Alright, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. You might notice I changed. I forgot to film an end to this video, but I am filming it right now. So thanks for watching. If you liked it, click the thingy. If you want to see the next video I got coming out, click the other thingy. And thank you so much. I'll see you next time.